So Joe Biden has become insanely brazen in his corruption. It's almost, you almost can't wrap your mind around it because he obviously really wants to be president, and he's just going about it the exact wrong way. He's guaranteeing that he's going to tank in the polls even more than he already has. So the American Prospect explains the following. If Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden meet on the debate stage in Detroit later this month, it's not likely to be as cordial as it went in Miami. The two presidential candidates have been sparring intensely over Medicare for All, Sanders' signature plan for universal health care. Biden has rejected Medicare for All as risky and unrealistic, while Sanders defended it in a July 17th speech where he also issued a pledge challenging all 2020 candidates to deny contributions of $200 or more from PACs, lobbyists, or executives of health insurance or pharmaceutical companies. Quote, when it comes to healthcare, the insurance and drug industries have been able to control the political process, Sanders said in the speech. A top member of Biden's brain trust fits that description. Steve Ricchetti, referred to as Biden's campaign chairman in a published report last month, was a longtime lobbyist for healthcare and other corporate clients. He worked for then Vice President Biden as a counselor and then his chief of staff, and now for his presidential campaign. Ricchetti founded and ran his own lobbying firm with his brother. He personally represented drug makers Novartis, Eli Lilly, and Sanofi. The latter two are among the three major insulin manufacturers, as well as health IT company Navamedics, now Navanet. What's with these fucking names, dude? And the American Hospital Association. Let's understand exactly what's going on here and what we just learned. Joe Biden's campaign is literally being run by a big pharma and healthcare company lobbyist. That's not hyperbole. That's not an exaggeration. There's no spin on that. There's no, flavor added to it. That's a stone cold fact. Biden's campaign is being run by a big pharma and healthcare company lobbyist. And the dude even worked for the worst offenders when it comes to pharmaceutical companies. The ones jacking up the price of insulin. Price gouging people. So every time Joe Biden comes out there now, as he's been doing repeatedly, and viciously attacks Medicare for All, and lies about Medicare for All, and strawmans Medicare for All, it's because he both ideologically is against it, but also because the person pulling the strings behind the scenes is literally somebody who's profited massively from for-profit healthcare companies and from big pharma. Joe, how dumb are you? Are you trying to lose? I mean, it's got to be that you're trying to lose. Because this is next level corruption, son. Like, at least some of the other corporate centrist Democrats are smart enough to try to hide it. Are smart enough to jump through the hoops to be like, me, bro? I'm against lobbyists. Joe Biden's like, no, I got one of those running my campaign. Joe Biden came out the other day and gave a speech where he said, I expect the Republicans to come after Obamacare, but I, in my wildest dreams, wouldn't expect fellow Democrats to be against Obamacare, to try to repeal it and replace it. So, in other words, he's lying. What he's doing is trying to take the fact that Barack Obama has a high approval rating and use that name to muddy the waters in the healthcare debate and try to pretend like people who are for Medicare for All are also for a separate bill prior to Medicare for All, where first we have to totally repeal Obamacare, which of course is not at all how it works, and nobody on the left is arguing for that. But Joe Biden has no real point. He has no real argument. So what is he doing? He's listening to his, healthcare lobbyist buddy, who's as corrupt as they come, and he's running with it. You want to talk about political instincts being out of whack? All Joe Biden had to do in this election to be a serious, viable candidate is also to go out there and pretend to be Bernie Sanders. That's all he would have had to do. Is if he, from the very beginning of this campaign, said, you know what? It's clear where the country's at right now, and I want to represent the country where they are. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fight for Medicare for all. I'm going to fight for free college. I'm going to fight for a living wage. I'm going to fight for a Green New Deal. I'm going to end these wars. And I'm going to represent the American people because that's my job. I'm middle-class Joe. Middle-class Joe Biden. Yeah. If he just pretended properly, he would have been a viable candidate. You want to know why? Because he already has the most name recognition of everybody running. So when you have the most name recognition and you marry that with a strategy that makes sense, you would have been a force to be reckoned with. But he's doing the exact opposite. He's doing the exact opposite. He's like, okay, where are the healthcare lobbyists at? We're the same vultures and swamp creatures who've been ripping off Americans for decades. I will stack my campaign with said people. This is totally unacceptable. But you know what? It's transparent. And you know what the deal is. You know you're not going to get changed with Joe Biden. He's going into the negotiation saying, let's slightly expand Obamacare, or maybe on his better days, let's get a public option. You know what you're going to get if that's your starting point? Dick. You're going to get absolutely nothing. So listen, here's my advice to Bernie Sanders wait, I don't know if Bernie's on the stage with Joe Biden in the next debate. Is he? I don't know yet. I know they released the lineups for the debate. I don't know if Bernie is on the stage with Joe. But either way, take out the brass knuckles, Bernster. Take out the brass knuckles. Because if you'll notice what happened in the last debate, Kamala went for Joe Biden's jugular, and then Kamala got a big bump. So what Bernie needs to understand is, because they're coming at Bernie now. I'm a big fan of the counterpunch. I don't like to be the one throwing the first punch. Even to people I massively ideologically disagree with. But Biden has thrown so many punches at Bernie and thrown so many haymakers at his policy ideas that now it's time. The gloves are off. Take out the brass knuckles. Grab a blowtorch. Maybe a hatchet. And go to work. Because this guy, as soon as everybody knows what's really going on with Biden, and as soon as people realize he's not just Obama's buddy, that's when they go, oh, yeah, that's unfortunate. Not really for that guy. But you got to expose him in order to do that. You have to expose him. And there's no better way to expose somebody than to let them know, hey, there are lobbyists literally running his campaign. So you think he's going to fundamentally change a system that the people controlling his campaign massively benefit from and will continue to benefit from? There's no way. There's no way he'd change that system, and everybody needs to know that.